Welcome to Old Empire Geopolitical Analysis. Why does an attack on Iran begin to look inevitable? Because the balance that sustained the old order is changing. For decades, the United States operated on a simple principle: escalation without uncertainty. Crises could erupt, missiles could fly, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. That was called deterrence. In reality, it was dominance, unquestioned authority over the region. Deterrence survives only while it is believed. And now U.S. military strategists warn that belief is fading. The period of unchecked dominance is narrowing. Predictability is disappearing. New capabilities are emerging. And Iran's growing military power is becoming increasingly resistant to the traditional logic of deterrence. When dominance is questioned, confrontation stops being a decision and becomes a calculation. They call it the closing window. 1. The nuclear threshold. The dispute between the USA and Iran has always centered on one issue: not whether Iran has a bomb, but when it could have one. International inspectors report Iran possesses large amounts of uranium enriched close to weapons grade, and it could potentially convert it to bomb-grade material within weeks if unchecked. This creates a strategic timer, because deterrence depends on prevention. If a rival reaches nuclear threshold capability, the rules change forever. You can no longer stop the capability. The use can only live with it. And once a superpower must live with it, regional dominance becomes mutual vulnerability. Not only Iran, but countries like Iraq and Yemen will begin slipping out of American influence.
We have no option other than demolishing Iran nuclear threats unless they abandon the nuclear ambitions.
We will defend our land against any foreign aggression, and we will not capitulate to unjust demands.
For American military planners, that moment is irreversible, which is why, in their view, now is the final window. Act before the threshold is crossed, or accept that it can never be reversed. 2. Survivable retaliation. Deterrence only works when one side can end the threat instantly. For decades, the United States believed it could. But Iran changed the equation. Deep underground facilities, mobile missile launchers hidden across vast terrain, and durable drones that can overwhelm air defenses. Long-range systems capable of striking back, each one designed for a single purpose: to survive the first American strike. Because if the United States cannot eliminate retaliation in the opening hours, then escalation is no longer one-sided. It becomes a two-way exchange. Not punishment, not policing, war. And once Iran can guarantee retaliation, even after a U.S. strike, American military superiority loses its political power, because leaders in Washington must now calculate something far heavier than strategy.
Number 3. Allies and the fear factor. For decades, regional partners hosted American operations because retaliation risks were limited. Now the calculation is different. Bases, infrastructure, and shipping routes could be targeted in return. When allies hesitate, deterrence weakens. Not because the USA lost strength, but because access becomes uncertain. Power projection depends on geography, and geography depends on political confidence. When confidence drops, the strategic map shrinks.
Number 4. The strait and global pressure. Roughly a fifth of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway Iran has already temporarily closed during military drills to signal escalation risks. Even small disruptions there shake global markets. That creates a new type of leverage, not defeating fleets, but threatening stability. Deterrence struggles against uncertainty, because uncertainty spreads faster than ships can sail.
Number 5, networked warfare. Modern conflict is no longer limited to borders. Influence can be projected indirectly through aligned armed groups across multiple regions. Instead of a single battlefield, pressure appears everywhere at once. Military planners call this distributed confrontation. It does not defeat a superpower, but it exhausts its dominance. Number 6, the strategic deadline. So the fear among some analysts is not immediate war. It is permanent change. If all these trends continue at once, nuclear threshold approaches. Retaliation becomes survivable. Allies become cautious. Trade routes become vulnerable. Pressure becomes multi-front. Then deterrence shifts from dominance to balance. And balance is something the existing regional order was never built to operate under. This is why some policymakers see a shrinking timeline, not because they seek conflict, but because every year of delay pushes Iran closer to a capability that no amount of American power can easily reverse, a point where Washington can no longer dictate the terms. In their calculation, act early and risk a war you can still shape. Wait longer and face a reality you can no longer control. That is the closing window. And throughout history, the most dangerous wars did not begin from ambition, but from the fear that tomorrow would leave even fewer options than today. And in this strategic logic, the belief that delay only strengthens Iran, while narrowing America's choices, some in Washington, conclude that confrontation becomes unavoidable, while Tehran's strategy is the opposite. Stretch time, avoid escalation, and hold the line until its capabilities rise beyond anyone's ability to challenge.